Okay, so for these problems, it says state the type of angles that are given, state the relationship, and then find x. Okay, well, here you have alternate interior angles, so you'd want to write that. Alternate interior angles, and I'm just going to abbreviate. Alternate interior angles are congruent, and you can set 2x equal to 80, and that's how you would get x equals 40. Of course, divide both sides by 2, and that's how you get x equals 40, and that is your answer. Congratulations if you got that. Good job. Then, number 2, we have corresponding angles, so you'd want to label it corresponding. Corresponding angles are congruent, so you can put 3x equal to 120, and divide both sides by 3, and that's where you get x equals 40. Now, number 3 was a tricky one. These angles are not equal. Consecutive interior angles add to 180. And if you look at it closely, you have an acute angle and obtuse angle. They are not equal. They're supplementary. So 2x plus 110 equals 180. And you go ahead and solve. 2x equals 70. Divide both sides by 2, and that's where you get x equals 35. Congrats if you noticed that. Good job. Oh, and then those are consecutive interior angles. Then number 4, you have alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are equal, so you can do 2x minus 4 equals 92 and solve for x. X equals 48. And there you go. Okay, while we're in this vicinity of the paper, we're going to go back and do the easy stuff in a second. Right down here, we're going to continue solving. These get a little bit more intricate. If you look at number 5, notice you have an x variable and a y. You may want to set those equal because they are vertical angles. Can you not eat in here, por favor? Gracias. Okay. You may want to set these equal, but you can't solve 2 variables at once. You can only solve one variable at once. So for number 5, you would actually use these two to solve for x first. And consecutive interior angles add to 180, so you do 75 plus 5x minus 10 equals 180 to solve for x. 75 minus 10, that would be 65 plus 5x equals 180. And just solve it. 115 divided by 5 is 23. So we get x equals 23 to start. And now that we have that, we can solve for y. So we have vertical angles here that are equal. So I'm going to put these two expressions equal. I'll just plug in 23 for x. Five times 23, 115. And then y equals 13. So yeah, x equals 23, y equals 13. Okay, so we're going to continue practicing this. Each one of these is a slightly different example. Number 6, you'll notice that there's 3 sets of parallel lines, but the rules still apply. You can kind of break this up if you'd like. We have alternate interior angles here, and alternate interior angles are equal. So we can start by saying 60 is equal to 3x plus 15, and solve for x. X equals 15. Then to solve for y, we have corresponding angles here, and corresponding angles are equal, so we can set these two expressions equal and plug in 15 for x. So 3 times 15 plus 15 equals negative 5y minus 10. $45 plus 15 is 60. $70 divided by negative 5 is negative 14. Okay, number 7 is one that's a little trickier. We can't just set it equal. Let's see if it'll focus. Come on, focus. Okay, so for 7, these two angles actually don't have a relationship. This one would be equal to this one. That would be alternate interior, and then that would be supplementary to 102. So we could say that these two angles are supplementary. 2x plus 12 plus 102 equals 180, and we could solve it that way. So 2x plus 114 equals 180. And then x equals 33. By the way, these are the hardest ones on the page. Everything else from here on out is like super easy. We're gonna fly through it. And then number 8, we're gonna solve kind of like we did 5 and 6. You can only solve one variable at a time. I noticed that these are corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal. So I can set this equal to 100. Since I know this is 100 degrees, there's a couple different ways we could do this. Since I know this is 100 degrees, then this has to equal 80 degrees because it forms a linear pair. I can just set this equal to 80 to solve for y. $80 minus 24 is, I don't know, 56. Okay, 56 divided by 2, and y equals 28. And we're done. Okay, now we're going to move over to the beginning of the lesson. We did all the hard stuff, the stuff with a lot of math and solving. Now we're just going to move over to the vocabulary, which you should pretty much know this vocabulary at this point. Some key concepts just to take note of is when parallel lines are cut by a transversal, the angle pairs are either congruent or supplementary. So when you fill in like angle measures here, like let's say I was filling in angle measures here, if I was told that this is 30 degrees, I could literally fill in this whole thing just based on knowing that that's 30 degrees. If I'm told that's 30 degrees and these lines are parallel, I could fill in this whole thing. Notice I have a linear pair here, so if this is 30, this has to be 150. Vertical angles are equal. Vertical angles are equal. Alternate interior angles are equal, so I can plug that in. Then this is 150. Vertical angles and vertical angles. Okay, so if you're given one measure, you can fill in the whole thing. And notice that it's literally one of two numbers. All the acute angles are 30 degrees, all the obtuses are 150. So if you forgot all the rules, all the vocabulary, all the everything, you could still figure this out. It's literally one of two numbers the entire time. Okay, another thing to note is that when you have parallel lines, and I mentioned this in the last lesson, there's usually this little symbol right here, and that means that those two lines are parallel. So if it has this little symbol, that means you're working with parallel lines. Okay, so now we're going to go through the postulate of corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, as you know, are like this angle, and there's more than just that pair, but those are corresponding. Corresponding angles are congruent. Then for the next one, alternate interior angles theorem. Alternate interior angles are congruent. And alternate interior angles would be like this one and this one. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate exterior angles are congruent. So alternate exterior would be like this one and this one. And the last one on the page, consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So on the parallel lines, these would be consecutive interior, and you can see one is an acute angle and one is obtuse. So therefore they're not equal. Let's say this is 30, then this would have to be 150. In this case, if this was 20 degrees, then this would have to be 20 degrees. They're equal. Here, let's say we have, this is 35 degrees, this would have to be 35 degrees. Or in this case, if that obtuse angle was 110 degrees, then this would have to be 110 degrees. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Here, I wrote 110 and 110 here to show that they're the same measure. There's another big idea for this. The other idea is you can use these theorems backwards. So if you're shown corresponding angles and they have the same measure, then you can prove that this line is parallel to this line by the corresponding angles postulate. So let me state that again. If these two angles are the same measure, then you can prove that this line is parallel to this one because they're corresponding angles. Same with this. Alternate interior angles, if they're equal, then you can prove that those lines are parallel. If the alternate exterior angles are equal, you can prove those lines are parallel. And if your consecutive interior angles are supplementary, you can prove those lines are parallel. As far as this chart, just fill in angles that are congruent, like corresponding angles, and we'll abbreviate as much as we can. Corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. And the other one that's not listed here is vertical angles are congruent. And then as far as supplementary, the consecutive interior angles are supplementary, as well as linear pairs. Or a linear pair, I don't know. And next, are you ready? Not yet? Okay. Okay, moving up to the top of the page here, just some simple questions referring to angle relationships. Which is a pair of alternate interior angles? So you're supposed to look over here, go through the multiple choice, and decide which is a pair of alternate interior angles. So for alternate interior, you're looking for two on the opposite sides of the transversal, and the interior, the parallel. So 3 and 6, that is probably your answer. Just double check. 6 and 5, linear pair. Nope. 2 and 7, alternate exterior. Not what you're looking for. 4 and 6 are consecutive interior. Again, not what you're looking for. Number 2 is worded kind of weird, but it's a very easy question. It says, which angle corresponds to angle 7? So angle 7 right here, the corresponding angle would be angle 3. So that's what it's looking for. Number 3, what does it say? Which angles are alternate exterior angles? So alternate exterior angles would be opposite sides of the transversal on the outside of the parallel lines. 1 and 5, nope, those are corresponding. 6 and 3 are alternate interior, not what we're looking for. 5 and 8, vertical, nope. 1 and 8 are alternate exterior. Number 4, which pair of angles are consecutive interior? 1 and 5, corresponding, no. 3 and 6 are alternate interior, not what we're looking for. 4 and 8, corresponding. And then 3 and 5 are consecutive interior. And number 5, if the measure of angle 1 is 32 degrees, find these other measures. You could sit there and find each individually, or you could just mark this thing up, label them all, and then plug in the blanks. It's up to you. If this is 32, then angle 2 has to be whatever 180 minus 32 is. 180 minus 32. Yes, 148. Thank you, Kristen. So 148. I'm just going to plug in everything. All the acute angles will be 32. All the obtuses will be 148. And then I can plug in these blanks. So measure of angle 3, 148. Measure of angle 6, 148. And measure of angle 8 is 32 degrees. We're done. Okay, so that is it for the notes. I'm going to have you jump on the homework in a second. I'm going